Hey guys, this week I read The Hogfather by Terry Pratchett because every year I watch the Hogfather TV adaptation as a Christmas tradition, and I also read the book every year as well because I love it so much, and I thought I'd sort of combine the two. This book is all about, basically it's an alternative Christmas story is how I'll put it, because it's set on the Discworld where everything is sort of like Earth but slightly twisted, and it's their version of Christmas called Hogswatch, and instead of having Santa they have the Hogfather. And in this one, the Hogfather is missing, so a Death, as in the guy with the 7-foot skeleton with the cloak and the scythe, Death, is pretending to be the Hogfather, so the children still get all their presents, so they still believe in the Hogfather, so the sun will rise in the morning. Because if the children don't believe, the Hogfather ceases to exist and the sun won't rise in the morning. And it's all about that. His granddaughter Susan, who has sort of like his powers. It's also about the Wizards of the Unseen University and a weird, insane assassin called Mr. Tia Tomei. And it's sort of all their story at this Hogswatch night, either trying to kill the Hogfather or trying to save the Hogfather. And it all weaves together really well in a sort of really alternative Christmas story, which isn't all about sweetness and light and snowmen and reindeer and stuff like that. This is actually about an assassin and trying to stop the assassin, and how he's trying to kill the Hogfather, and Death trying to pretend to be the Hogfather with some hilarious results. And it's sort of like, it's a really good story if you're kind of annoyed by now of all the classic Christmas stories that are all really sweet and sickly and sort of overly happy, shall we say. If you're like me and you don't like that kind of thing, and you're not exactly keen on Christmas, or if you're just really done with it already, this is a really good book to read at this time, because it's such a good sort of alternative story for Christmas. It's not overly Christmassy. It's not like our Christmas, because even though a lot of the sort of themes of it are sort of like our Christmas, it's a hell of a lot more, I wouldn't say violent, because there's not actually that much violence in it. There's mentions of violence, and there's sort of moments where things are explained in a slightly more medieval and sort of slightly more, well, things are explained violently, but it's more mentions of violence happening at some other point than actual violence. Or it's described in what the toys that the children want. So people want stuff like castles that have guillotines that actually work and stuff like that. They want those kind of toys for Christmas, and it's that sort of violence. So it's not exactly really scary or anything like that. It's actually kind of funny, and there are some fight scenes in it, but it's more about how all of these characters are trying to figure out what's going on with all the other characters and stuff like that, instead of fighting and all the rest of it. It's more like an adventure story, really, than anything else. And it's really, really good, because it's so funny in places. It's practically laugh out loud funny. And it's sort of really weird and twisted in places. But it's got a lot of sort of peril in it and stuff like that. And there's some really, really good lines and really funny moments throughout that you sort of forget it's a book that's based about Christmas. And it's more about sort of having this adventure that just happens to be at a time that's a holiday that's like Christmas. It's a really, really good book, basically, with lots of laughs. There's lots of funny moments throughout it. There's peril, and the storyline is so brilliantly weaved together. I absolutely love it, because you wouldn't think that Death's granddaughter, an assassin, and the wizards would work together so well. But because they're all doing stuff in different places around the Discworld, you get this really good storyline as to what everybody's doing. And while at first it doesn't seem related, it all twists together beautifully, and it all makes sense. Everything is tied up, and I love that about this book, because even though also that it's part of a huge series, you don't have to have read any of the other books in the series for this to make sense. Because even though Death and Susan have already been introduced, and the Wizards of the Unseen University are also in a few of the other books, they're still fully explained in this specific one anyway. So you do just sort of, like, you find out about Susan's memories and how she became Death's granddaughter and stuff like that. And you know about Death because of how because Susan remembers stuff about her grandfather, and the wizards are really well explained and stuff like that, so you don't actually have to have any sort of prior knowledge about this series to read this book, because the entire series sort of focuses on different characters, and only some of them recur in only about 5 of the books. So you don't have to have read any of the other books, and it's a really good starter book to get into the Discworld itself anyway. So I'd really highly recommend it, especially if you're trying to get into Terry Pratchett, or if you're just trying to escape from any of the sort of other Christmas type stories. It's more just an adventure story that happens to be set around the Discworld Christmas, and that's it. And just because one of the main characters is pretending to be their version of Santa, it didn't make me want to throw up with Christmas joy, you know. It was more about escaping it but still being in the mood, if you know what I mean. And it's really good at that, and it's so funny. And if you sort of like slightly more violent things, or sort of like a dark and twisted sense of humour, you're definitely going to like this book, because Death all the way through it's got a really dark and twisted sense of humour, and so does everybody else, and it's a really good book to read, and so cleverly done. So I definitely recommend that if you've had enough of Christmas, or if you want to get into the Discworld or anything like that, definitely read The Hogfather by Terry Pratchett, because I absolutely love this book, and it's one of my all-time favourites. There aren't words to describe how much I sodding love this book, so I just want everybody to read it every Christmas and watch the adaptation, because the adaptation is so well done as well. So I'd definitely say read the book, watch the adaptation, and just get into The Hogfather. It's so good. And if you are a fan of Terry Pratchett, please tell me down in the comments and stuff like that, because that'd be awesome. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you've read any of the other Discworld, please tell me what you thought of those down in the comments, because I'm not sure which one else to read now, because I've only read a couple, and I'm not exactly sure which one to go to next. So if you've got any recommendations for that, please tell me down in the comments. Or if you've got any other Christmas type stories that are a bit alternative to the traditional story, then please also tell me down in the comments about those, so I may read them next year around the same sort of time of year. And if you want to see more of my videos, please click subscribe here, that'd be awesome. And until next time guys, bye, happy Hogswatch for this week.